There's a moment in some games when fear disappears, not because the world is safe, but because you are the danger. Enemies don't rush you anymore. They hesitate. They back away. Sometimes they panic. These aren't games where you survive by luck. These are games where the world feels hostile, and still, you walk in like you own it. Today, we're counting down 10 games where you're not the hero, you're the boss. And trust me, the reason these games feel so addictive goes way deeper than power alone. Let's start with one that makes no apologies. From the second it starts, Doom Eternal makes one thing clear. This isn't a horror game. You are not trapped here with demons. They are trapped here with you. There's no hiding, no waiting, no defensive play. The game pushes you forward, relentlessly. Low on ammo? You don't run, you charge. Low on health? You don't panic, you get closer. Every mechanic forces aggression. Every second rewards confidence. You're flying through arenas, chainsaw screaming, shotguns roaring, demons exploding into nothing, and the music? It doesn't follow the action, it commands it. The faster you move, the harder it hits. The better you play, the more unstoppable you feel. You're not reacting, you're conducting chaos. And the craziest part? The game never tells you that you're powerful. It proves it by throwing literal hell at you and daring you to keep moving. But listen to this. As insane as this power fantasy is, it's nothing compared to the next game. Because the next one doesn't make you feel like a weapon. It makes you feel like a myth. From the first swing of the axe, you feel it. This isn't rage anymore. This is controlled violence. Kratos doesn't rush. He doesn't waste movement. Every step feels heavy. Every hit feels final. Enemies don't circle you like predators. They test you. And when they get too close, they regret it instantly. The Leviathan axe doesn't just hit. It commands space. You throw it. Everything freezes. You call it back, and the sound alone feels like dominance returning to your hand. But here's the thing most people miss. The game constantly reminds you that Kratos is holding back. Not because he's weak, but because if he lets go, everything breaks. Even the gods hesitate. Even monsters flinch. And when Atreus fights beside you, something changes. You're not just surviving anymore. You're protecting a legacy. That responsibility makes the power feel heavier, more dangerous, more real. You don't feel unstoppable because you're angry. You feel unstoppable because you've been here before. And when the game finally lets Kratos unleash just a fraction of who he really is, it doesn't feel like a power-up. It feels like a warning. But it gets crazier. Because the next game doesn't make you feel like a god. It makes the entire world react like you're already a legend. In Red Dead Redemption 2, power doesn't scream, it waits. Arthur Morgan doesn't need to prove himself. The world already knows who he is. When trouble starts, people don't ask if Arthur can handle it. They ask when he's arriving. Gunfights feel different here. Not frantic, not desperate. Every duel slows time. Every shot feels deliberate. Deadeye kicks in, and suddenly the chaos bends around you. Multiple enemies. One breath. One decision. And when the smoke clears, you're still standing. But here's what really sells the illusion. NPCs talk about you, whisper your name, react to your presence, walk into a town and tension rises, not because you're loud, but because you're known. Arthur doesn't chase glory, glory follows him, and the deeper you go, the heavier it gets. Because being the strongest man in the room doesn't stop consequences from catching up. You're not invincible, you're inevitable, and that makes every victory feel earned, and every mistake feel permanent. But listen to this. The next game doesn't slow time to make you feel powerful. It moves so fast that survival itself becomes domination. Power doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it arrives quietly. In Ghost of Tsushima, Jin Sakai starts as a samurai bound by honor. Rules, tradition, limits. Then the world breaks those rules first. Enemies don't play fair. They burn villages. They terrorize the innocent. And that's when Jin changes. Not loudly, not instantly. He becomes something else. You stop charging head on. You disappear into shadows. You strike once. And fear spreads faster than blood. Enemies begin to panic. They shout warnings. They hesitate. Some run. That's when you realize it. You're not winning fights anymore. You're controlling emotions. Every stealth kill sends a message. Every sudden strike feels calculated, intentional. The world reacts to your reputation. The ghost isn't a myth. It's a consequence. And the scariest part? The game never celebrates it. It asks a question instead. What does it cost to become unstoppable? Because the more powerful you feel, the further you drift from who you were. But that tension, that internal war, it makes every victory hit harder. And trust me, the next game doesn't make enemies afraid of a legend. It makes them afraid because they never see you coming. In Dishonored 2, power isn't loud, it's precise. You don't kick the door in, you decide who never gets the chance to scream. Blink pulls you across rooftops in a heartbeat. 1 second you're nowhere, the next, you're behind them. Possession changes everything. You don't fight guards, you use them. Rats become weapons. Time bends, gravity feels optional. And the city, it's not just a map, it's a puzzle waiting to be broken. Here's what makes it terrifying. Enemies don't know how you move, they can't track you, they can't adapt. Alarms ring but nobody knows where to aim. You decide who lives, who disappears, who never existed at all, and the game never forces violence. That's the trick. Being able to end everyone and choosing not to feels even more powerful. You're not a warrior, you're a problem without a solution. But listen to this, the next game doesn't give you shadows to hide in. It drops you into chaos and dares you to survive by becoming unstoppable speed. In The Witcher 3, power isn't flashy, it's inevitable. Geralt doesn't enter the world looking for fights. Fights find him. Villagers don't cheer when they see you, they hesitate. Because when a Witcher shows up, something terrible is already nearby. You don't spam attacks, you prepare. Potions first, oils on the blade, signs ready. Every monster is different. Every mistake is punished. And that's what makes the power feel real. You're not stronger because the game says so. You're stronger because you know more. Enemies hit hard, they don't wait, but you've already studied them. When the battle starts, it's not chaos, it's execution. One dodge, one counter, one final strike. And when the creature falls, the silence feels earned. The world reacts to you like a professional. Kings negotiate, monsters flee, men twice your size back down. Not because you're loud, but because your reputation walks ahead of you. And here's the truth. You don't feel like the boss because Geralt is invincible. You feel like the boss because everything else isn't. And that realization changes how you play forever. Ghost Runner doesn't give you power. It demands it. One hit. That's all it takes. For you, and for them, there's no health bar to save you. No armor to hide behind. Just speed, precision, and instinct. You wall run, you slide, you dash through bullets that should have killed you. Time slows for a split second, just long enough for you to decide. Wrong move, restart. But when everything clicks, something dangerous happens. You stop feeling fragile, you stop feeling human, you become untouchable. Enemies don't overwhelm you, you carve through them in a blur. One sword swing, one clean line through chaos. The city feels hostile, vertical, relentless. And yet, you move through it like you were built for this. That's the addiction. Not power handed to you, power earned through perfection. Every room cleared flawlessly feels illegal, like you broke the rules of the game. And when you finish a section without dying, your heart is racing. Not from fear, from confidence. But listen closely. The next game doesn't test your reflexes. It hands you absolute power and asks what you'll do with it. Control doesn't start by making you powerful. It starts by making you confused. The building shifts, hallways move, nothing makes sense. Then you pick up the weapon, and suddenly, the world listens. Jessie doesn't level up like a normal character. She ascends, you stop hiding behind cover, you rip chunks of concrete from the walls and throw them like they weigh nothing. Enemies float, you float. Gravity becomes a suggestion. And here's what changes everything. The environment isn't just destructible, it's ammunition. Desks, walls, entire rooms collapse at your command. But listen to this. The enemies don't get weaker, they get louder, more aggressive, more desperate, because they know what you are. You're not reacting to the chaos, you're orchestrating it. Gunfire becomes punctuation, telekinesis becomes instinct, and the moment it clicks, you realize something terrifying. The building isn't testing you anymore, it's following you. But that kind of power always comes with a cost, because the next game doesn't give you control over a place, it gives you control over people. In Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, power isn't about strength, it's about influence. Ezio doesn't walk alone anymore. He walks with a city behind him. Rome feels alive, crowds move, guards watch, Templars control everything. Until you start pulling the strings, you blend in, you vanish. You strike once, and the city exhales. But here's where it changes. You don't just fight enemies. You recruit resistance. Citizens you save don't disappear. They answer your call. One whistle, one signal. And assassins drop from rooftops you weren't even looking at. Enemies fall before they understand why. Because the attack didn't come from you, it came from everywhere. That's the power fantasy here. You're not a lone blade anymore. You're a network. Rome slowly shifts, Borgia towers fall, guards lose control, not through chaos, but coordination. The city learns your name without ever seeing your face, and when you finally walk through the streets openly, it's clear. You're not hiding. You're in charge. But here's the twist. The next game doesn't give you allies. It strips everything away and still dares you to stand at the top. Metal Gear Rising doesn't build power slowly. It unleashes it. Raiden isn't learning. He's remembering who he really is. From the first fight, the game makes a promise. Speed over safety. Aggression over defense. You don't trade blows. You dismantle enemies. Blade mode activates. Time fractures. Bodies break apart exactly where you decide. And this is where it hits. You're not swinging wildly. You're choosing how they fall. Arms, weapons, entire machines reduced to pieces. But listen carefully. The game never pretends this power is clean. It's loud, violent, uncomfortable. Bosses scream ideologies at you. War, control, purpose. And Raiden answers with motion. Every parry feels like dominance. Every counter feels personal. You don't win because you're stronger. You win because you never stop moving. And when the music spikes, when everything clicks, you don't feel like a hero. You feel like a force that can't be contained. But that brings us to the real question. Why do these games stay with us? These games don't make you feel powerful by accident. They do it by earning your confidence. They push you, punish mistakes, demand attention. And when you rise to meet them, the world changes around you. Enemies hesitate, music reacts, the game respects you. That's the secret. You're not the boss because the game says so. You're the boss because you play like one. And once you feel that, it ruins weaker experiences forever. Now tell me, which game made you feel unstoppable? Which one belongs on this list? Drop it in the comments. If this video hit that feeling for you, subscribe, because there are still worlds out there that don't know you're coming.